shows when police with guns drawn go room to room inside Frankie's Utah home after her 12-year-old son allegedly escaped Jody Hildenbrand's home and ran to a neighbor who called 911.
Here's my point. The wicked plots against the just. The wicked always plot against the just and gnashing at them with their teeth. Satan is the saints' accuser. He has all the dirt on the Latter-day Saints. He knows what they do. And in these last days, he's upping his game. Now, like I said, I'm not saying this isn't a case of abuse. We know that the kid was found with duct tape, glue around his arms, adhesive, and the man was crying, and he was, yes. What I'm saying is, I think this woman needs counseling and classes, parenting classes more than anything. So mark my words before we get started in this video. A, this is abuse. And what Ruby Franke and Jody Hildenbrand did is abuse. Absolutely. Okay? The whole point of this video, before we go through it, I want you to know, so pay attention. It is about Satan using the worst parts of what goes on with the saints and exploits it to persecute all of the saints. Okay, I couldn't take it anymore. It is 11:23 p.m., but I couldn't take it anymore. I'm sitting here watching this Ruby Franke thing. You know who Ruby Franke is. Everyone knows by now who Ruby Franke is. And I've been keeping up that, not religiously. I'm not like fully invested in it, but when I see some clickbait on it, I'll click on it. And I'll tell you why I'm calling it clickbait. A lot of people are involved in this, and I'm looking at it. Look, yes, it's a case of neglect, child neglect, right? It sure appears to be on the surface. I'm not saying it's not. Child neglect, child abuse. And who's her friend? So Ruby Franke her friend is Jody Hildenbrand, right? Who is her business partner. It goes back to 8 passengers, right? The YouTube parenting coach, Ruby Franke, charged with aggravated child abuse. This is from September 1st, 2023. KTLA. Washington County, Utah. Mother and YouTube creator Ruby Franke was officially charged with child abuse in the 5th District Court in St. George Friday. Franke and business partner Jody Hildenbrand, and I know you guys have already heard this before, but I'm just going to read it again, were each charged with 6 counts of aggravated child abuse following the discovery of 2 of Franke's children in conditions of neglect and abuse on Wednesday, August 30th. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'll leave the link. And you could go on, and you guys know the story. If you don't, go to Court TV, and there's a Long Crime Network. What's going on here? I want to play something, and I want to react to it, and I want you guys to just understand where I'm coming from. We're just having a friendly conversation about this, okay? I'm not saying that I'm swayed one way or the other. Yes, this is child abuse, but this happens everywhere, and it actually happens a lot worse. There are many, 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 many more horrible cases of child abuse than Ruby Franke's case. And frankly, when I watch Ruby Franke, I watch a woman that needs counseling more than anything, probably, than she needs prison time or jail time. And even, I would say her in my opinion, it seems like her psychologist friend that counsels marriages and families and whatnots needs more. I don't know. It seems like she could be implicated a lot here too. Ruby Frank has some psychological issues, but this is also, in my humble opinion, brothers and sisters, this is another attack against the church or against Judeo-Christian white middle-class Trump conservative supporters, middle America, Utah, flag waving. This is abuse. This is a case of abuse. But I'm saying Satan uses this to say that all Latter-day Saints are like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you can make the case that, no, this just makes good news. It's got all the elements there. It's got all, it's, you know, she's the influencer that's got millions of views. She's the Mormon in Utah, and it's got all the elements. But you can't say that Satan's not behind this either. This is, yes, it's abuse, but there are cases like this and worse cases all over the United States. So why this one? And I think it's also a plot from Satan to destroy the Latter-day Saint community. This is kind of an attack against the church, and it is, or against that vote Republican, against this. It's an attack against the Karens, the Latter-day Saint Karens, or even just middle America Karen type Republican families, right? What's coming out of Utah lately? It's all bad. Tim Ballard, and when I say Tim Ballard bad from Utah, I don't mean Tim Ballard necessarily did anything wrong. I'm saying all these cases are bad, and they all have one thing in common. You got Tim Ballard, you got this Ruby Frank, you got your Warren Jeffs, you've got your Daybells, you got the Franke family, right? 8-passenger YouTube family appears in court for child welfare hearing. Kevin Franke and his 2 adult children arrived and left together. I'm not saying this isn't a case of child abuse, because it is. Oh, but there's something deeper going on here, in my opinion, and nobody's addressing it. All they're doing is attacking Mormons, attacking Christianity, attacking blonde-haired, blue-eyed families, and Judeo-Christian America and Utah mainly, and Mormons, Latter-day Saints. So here's this Kevin Franke and his adult children. They arrive and left together with attorneys on Tuesday's pre-trial hearing in the family's child welfare case stemming from the arrest of wife and mother Ruby Franke. The son looks, the 2 older kids, they don't look like they went through a lot of abuse, but I don't know. I've been through emotional abuse in my life. I was raised by a dad that was going crazy, had schizophrenia. So I know what emotional abuse was. So we're going to get all to that. We're going to watch this video. Okay. We're going to watch this video and we're going to react to it. And I have some scripture and I have some things that I want to share with you that I think is going on here deeper with Elizabeth Smart, Warren Jeffs, Tim Ballard, the Franke family here, the Daybells, and it goes on and on. What I'm saying is abuse is everywhere, and horrible abuse. I'm not saying that duct tape and keeping somebody from eating is not abuse. Oh, it is absolutely abuse. But there's also something else going on here, like Satan does. Okay? And we're going to talk about that. Let's go. Let's roll the tape.
I'm only going to say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
Ruby and Kevin Franke's oldest child, Sherry, has called 911 several times over the years because she was concerned for the safety of her siblings. 911 audio of Sherry calling the police has been released to the public, We also have body cam video of the police swarming Ruby Franke's house looking for her other 2 children on the day she was arrested.
Sundays after church, when we all just clean through the leftovers, it's like the highlight of my week. I love it so much.
It is. Mom doesn't get mad at us for eating anything.
That and the kids just open up. Like, everyone's pretty relaxed.
Now, this part was interesting because my mom would get mad on Sundays if we just rummaged through and ate anything we wanted because she was preparing dinner. Or you can't just go and eat anything you want in the kitchen. There's got to be, this is what we're having. We do that today. Could the kids have met at that particular time? We can't. Mom doesn't get mad that we just kind of go for broke and eat anything we want. But considering we already know the charges, of course, it could possibly very much be the other. And then I've been wanting to say this for a long time. As I watch this is totally abuse. Okay, but I'm going to get into what I think should happen because I've seen abuse, like real bad abuse. Of abuse in America. Okay, like stuff would make you cry for days. My grandma and grandpa, and even my stepdad. Well, before I say that, back in the 60s and 70s, and even the 80s, this woman wouldn't be going to jail or prison. She would probably have CPS. Maybe not even the 80s, the 90s. CPS would get involved. And she would have to take some parenting classes and things like that. Okay. And I still think she needs counseling. Now, as far as the psychologist, the lady that she was with, I forgot her name right now. I have to look it up. She's got a track record of some things too. And so does Sister Frankie, Ruby Franke, right? She is a member of the church. We call her Sister Frankie. She also has some issues. Well, I saw the interview where her sister came on talking about their childhood and said that their mother withheld food from them for punishment as well. So it's something that she was raised with. Now going to where I was going to get into my stepdad. Hey, if you didn't finish your homework, I went to bed without dinner a couple times in the 80s. Now, it wasn't torture. I didn't die. I wasn't malnutritioned. It's called being uncomfortable and hungry and hunger pains. Well, spanking is still legal in California. Did you know that? You can spank your child, and if the child has a problem with it, you can actually have a police officer come to your house. And I've never done this. I don't spank my children, but you can actually have a cop stand there and watch you spank your child. And as long as you're doing it right, there has to be certain guidelines. It's in the books. So that's just there's pain involved there, and it's uncomfortable, right? And it's not fun. Now, sending your child to bed in the 80s, in the 70s, and even way before that, without dinner, and maybe some of you in the 90s, and even maybe recently, you're not dying, you're just uncomfortable, and you have hunger pains, and that's what punishment is. You see where if anybody is put into an uncomfortable position for punishment, then their parents or those who are over them are bad today. That's how they look at that. Now, that's not what I'm saying happened with this kid, okay, and his siblings. I understand. And today you have all of these articles, and they're written by young people in their 20s, some of them that don't even have kids. Why punishment is ineffective and what you can do instead. Corporal punishment and health. Why punishment doesn't work and what does. 9 critical reasons why punishment doesn't work for your child. Evidence against physical punishing kids is clear. Time in why punishment doesn't work, and discipline. Physical discipline is harmful and ineffective. It just depends on the child that you're working with. It really does. And for some of us, punishment worked. I'm not talking about physical punishment necessarily. I'm talking about grounding and taking privileges away and literally putting you in child's prison. Okay? Doesn't our Heavenly Father punish us sometimes? Take things away, take privileges away.
This is police body cam footage just released to the public. Ruby and Jody were taken into custody on August 30th. This video is dated August 30th, 2023. So this happened right after Ruby was taken into custody. Kevin and Ruby have 6 kids. 2 kids are adults. 2 kids were found at Jody Hildebrandt's home. They were looking for the other 2 kids, so they searched Ruby's house.
I know there's a lot of stopping and starting here, but now I live in California, and please, Cherie, was it Cherie? I am not putting down Utah Saints. When I said yesterday in my other video that the Mormons, the Saints in Utah, I meant anywhere. It has nothing to do with Utah or Idaho or anywhere. Anywhere there's a concentrated number of members of the church. What I was saying is you're going to have a lot of people that are thinking different ways. That's all I was saying. Wasn't putting down Utah Saints. So when I use Utah as an example, I'm using an area where there's a lot of members of the church. Okay. So as far as guys going in with these guns, these SWAT team looking stuff, going into the family here, I laugh at that because are you guys used to, I don't know, are you guys used to a lot of serious crime? I'm in California. This is not something, there would have been a knock on the door and there would have been not people breaking in and going in with guns like that. Okay, they would have approached the situation a little differently, but I understand. You have the safety of children involved, and they don't know these people from Adam, right? Okay.
They did not find the kids, and guess where they went next? They went to Pam Botcher's house.
Well, we have to physically see her.
I covered Pam in this video. I'll link it here if you haven't seen it. But Pam Botcher is Jody Hildebrandt's longtime best friend, business partner, and she's the president of Connections.
I love taking the parenting class. My daughter was going to take the class and asked me if I would take it with her. And I thought, well, I'm pretty much done parenting. My kids are all raised, and she really encouraged me to take it with her. And I am so grateful that I did, because I learned the principles that she was going to be teaching in her home so I could reinforce them when I was around my grandchildren. And it's been really a great experience.
After dialogue and questioning, Botcher explained that around noon that day, she received a call from Ruby Franke, who told her she had a family emergency and asked if Botcher could pick up blank and blank. According to Botcher, Ruby asked her if the 2 children could go to her house with her for a while. Botcher told officers the request wasn't odd, since she had blank and blank over her residence before to do housework and other chores for her. Police records show police responded to the Franke's home more than a dozen times over the...
So here's the thing that bothers me also the most about this story, and I'll get into the parts about Satan and how he exploits the Mormons, but this is, if you watch this whole thing, it's not just young people like this YouTuber and podcaster that's put out this video, but I picked it because it's perfect for what I'm trying to say. If you watch even court TV and this long crime TV or whatever, they do the same thing. They take everyday imperfections that that are irrelevant to the case. Same thing with Tim Ballard. Everyday imperfections of people that live in Utah, pontificating that aren't perfect. How many of us get up and bear our testimony or share our testimony with our neighbors, but we're not perfect? Okay. So what this girl is doing here is she's going through, and it kind of makes you sick, and you'll see, is she's taking just things that go, or exploiting, what did you say, babe? Every aspect of her personality. that has nothing to do with the case, and every aspect of everybody else's personality that's involved with the case too, or just knows her and lives there. What you're going to see what I'm talking about. I don't even have to say anymore. But this is just, it's like the kids at school that would find fault with everything that one kid or girl did. Look at the way she's eating her French fries. Oh my gosh, did she just talk to him? Oh my gosh, did she just buy that? She's wearing she's wearing the same sweater you are, Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, did she just get up and say she was happy to be here? And once again, because I have to reemphasize this, kind of like this is the emergency broadcasting system. Okay, well, this is the Troy Abels broadcasting system. I am not saying this is an abuse. I am not saying this is not a case of abuse. I have to keep saying that.
Few years. KUTV News reported the two girls were informed by DCFS worker that they were to stay with their oldest sister Sherry or be placed with a foster family. Initially, the two didn't want to leave Botcher's home, but were eventually placed with their older sister. KUTV News has reached out to Botcher multiple times and stopped by her home in American Fork on Tuesday afternoon seeking comment, but no one answered the door.
What would you say is the best part about doing YouTube?
I know instantly what the answer is, and I don't know if it's what you're looking for, but it has made me a better mom. Honestly, because if you have the camera on your face, and then at the end of the day, you look at the footage, you realize, oh my heck, I totally overreacted. Why did I overreact like that? I'm gonna have to cut all this out, and it's really painful to watch myself. Like, how many times did your mom tell you, you should see yourself? If you could just look at yourself right now.
Next, let's listen to the 911 audio that was just released to the public of Sherry Franke calling 911 because she was concerned for the safety of her siblings. Neighbors contacted Sherry and let her know that her siblings were left home alone for days at a time.
Reported on a 911 call made from Frankie's eldest daughter, Sherry, last year.
My four younger siblings are living in Springville, and my neighbors have been telling me that they have been left home alone for about 4 or 5 days.
ABC News obtained records showing police responded to the Frankies' home more than a dozen times over the last few years, including reports of juvenile problems in 2018 and welfare checks in 2022.
August 31st at 8:30 a.m., Sherry Franke's Instagram stories were recorded, and this is what she had posted on Instagram. Sherry wrote, "Little House on the Prairie is my comfort show. Also, do you guys want to see my room?" Then she shared her Aunt Julie's Instagram post and linked a YouTube video. I'm assuming this is Julie's video. Julie wrote, "My kids love their freaking cousin. We miss you already."
Okay, I'm gonna show you my room, but I'm not gonna have the camera on me because I look like this. I think what happened is I just have like a clogged tear duct. I've had that happen before. I have my own room this semester. I've got my Bali robe. I have a side table, also under my bed.
Then Sherry posted this picture of police outside her parents' home in Springville, Utah. Sherry wrote, "Finally. Hi all. Today has been a big day. Me and my family are so glad justice is being served. We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this. So glad they finally decided to step up. Kids are safe, but there's a long road ahead. Please keep them in your prayers and also respect their privacy."
My gosh! Are you serious?
Oh, there's more on the other side.
I am so sorry. I feel so dumb.
Now, like I said, I'm not saying this isn't a case of abuse. We know that the kid was found with duct tape, glue around his arms, adhesive, and the man was crying, and he was, yes. What I'm saying is, I think this woman needs counseling and classes, parenting classes more than anything. I think that this has been exploited. I think that when you see something over and over again in the media, first of all, if you didn't know anything about these people, right, and you saw this for the first time, this thing, you'd be like, okay, they seem like a normal family. But yes, normal family means nothing anymore. There's always what goes up on underneath the outside. But my point is that like Andrea and I, we live in California, and I'm not saying you guys in Utah haven't seen abuse, but there's a lot of other cases of abuse that are horrible that can make you cry for days, like I said, if you saw them. The marriage might not work. I get that. You guys stay divorced. There's always two sides. This is what Andrea's saying, if you can't hear it, because I have a background noise taken off. She's saying there's always two sides in the comment section. For every video that you see that showcases a parenting method or something that a parent does with their kid, yeah, there's going to be 50% of the people that say it's wrong. Right. So you have the hardcore parent. They probably can hear you. I don't know. Yeah, the hardcore style, the hardcore parenting that came from hardcore parent. I came from hardcore parenting. I got swatted. I got spanked. Sometimes I got grounded for 2 months. Right? I had no television. I was allowed to read books, but this is the 80s, so we didn't have. Yeah, we had Nintendo. We had Atari. I was allowed to read books, and my grandma and grandpa, they took away dinner sometimes. You ain't getting dinner tonight. And that was just uncomfortable. Yeah, you got hunger pains, but you're going to wake up. You're going to wake up, I promise you. And you're going to be just fine, and you're going to eat breakfast. That's not abuse. Today it's abuse. Today it's abuse. Now, I'm not saying putting duct tape around somebody's wrists, because people that are coming in the middle of this are going to be like, how dare you, Brother Abels? No, it's abuse. But he was saying like about the case with the guy that built the room, and now he's been found guilty of abuse. But we hear the other side later sometimes, where the kid was adopted or he was a foster child, and he was very abusive to his siblings, to people at school. I haven't been following the case, so I don't know. We don't know. But still, I don't agree with that one. I wouldn't build a special room like a Saw room, like from the movie Saw or something. I don't know. That's a different one, but
I wouldn't build a room and keep somebody in there with a bucket. Yeah. Nah. I'm sorry. That one doesn't go. That's abuse.
Exclusive body cam footage obtained by ABC News shows when police with guns drawn go room to room inside Frankie's Utah home after her 12-year-old son allegedly escaped Jody Hildenbrandt's home and ran to a neighbor who called 911.
On August 17th, Sherry Franke and her attorney, Kevin Franke and his attorney, and Chad all went to a child custody hearing. Ruby Franke was also there in person. They transferred her from Washington County to Utah County, which is where her Springville home is located. A judge ruled the child custody case be sealed, so we don't know what happened, but media was outside the courtroom and got this footage of the Franke family going to court.
You guys aren't brainwashed, okay? So don't come across as being brainwashed. When you first see these two kids walking with their dad and the attorney in his nice suit, the kid's in a nice suit, he's got his hand in his pocket, the girl's over here, they look well adjusted to me. Did they have a perfect upbringing? No. Did any of us have a perfect upbringing? No. Did any of us have perfect parents? No. Did some of us have eccentric parents? No. Did they go to prison in the 1950s and 60s for being eccentric parents? No. Did your neurotic mother go to prison? No. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying this isn't abuse, but I'm saying these two kids, they just appear, and I'm just going by surface, so I'm going to have a lot of the millennials and Gen Zs go, you don't know what goes on. I'm just saying they appear on the surface to be well adjusted. What do you guys? I'm not saying they didn't have a perfect life, but But what we're saying is that there's if you're gonna find some abuse cases out there, there's a lot in some of the most horrible places in the United States, and some really nice areas where people have been horribly abused. But some will say, "Look, Troy, this is just good. This is good story. This makes good news. It has all the elements of a good story. This isn't a conspiracy against Latter-day Saints, Troy. It just makes it does. I mean, you got to admit it. Wow, Mormon blonde-haired towhead family. Plus, she was an influencer, a YouTuber, had millions of views. Actually, she stopped doing that though. She didn't do that anymore, and she got involved with what's her name? Jody Hildebrandt. I just put Ruby Frank's partner. Yeah, Jody Hildebrandt. She got involved with her. Now, Jody's got a past, too, of separating families. Not counseling, not bringing families together, but doing the opposite. So, all I'm saying, so that's just the question. Do they look well-adjusted? It's just a question.
If you're standing in line at your local grocery store and look over at the magazine section, you've probably seen Ruby Franke on the cover of People magazine. In recent weeks, neighbors have opened up to people about what Franke was like off camera. She's this walking contradiction, one neighbor said. We would see how she was with her kids, and then I would see the ridiculous YouTube or Instagram videos of her pontificating and lecturing and preaching about how to be a mom of truth. And I was just like, this is the craziest thing.
This is the craziest thing. You mean you young people have never seen influencers on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, be one person on their platform and another person off of their platform.
This is the worst mother I know of. The neighbor shared a handful of stories about Franke's behavior, alleging that she often flirted with other men in the neighborhood, but often spoke about the evils of lust. She was very flirty with men to where I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, the neighbor tells People. She'd be very flirty with you, especially if she caught you alone, going out to the mailbox or something like that. And then at the same time, publicly, she would act differently. There was an incident, I guess, where a girl wore a two-piece swimsuit to a pool party in the neighborhood, which is normal, right? She just went ballistic, and she was lecturing people in the local LDS congregation about lust and the evils of this and that and the virtues of modesty, and yet she would be really flirty with men.
There we go, bringing LDS into it, right? Yeah. It's funny that all these people that want to showcase Latter-day Saints as being imperfect have worse. They're not even religious, a lot of them. And they have worse things that they're doing in their own life morally. But this woman's flirting, right? But the girl, I'm not saying the girl that's making this video is immoral. What I'm saying is she's been conditioned to think that people have to be, that anybody that professes to be a saint or a Christian or anybody that's trying to be a good person in society, if they fall short of that, then you just miss the mark totally. You are not who you say you are. You are an imposter. You are a hypocrite. When really, we all just need the atonement. So all these things that she's saying about her pontificating but not being perfect. I pontificate. I'm not perfect. I know people that get up and bear their testimony at church. They're not perfect. So all of this is totally irrelevant to the case. And all that does, in a minute, I'll tell you what it does.
I always thought that was a weird thing. The neighbor says he remembers conversation he and his wife had about Franke's behavior. I was like, what is she hiding? It's like she feels shame or guilt about maybe the way that she is. And so she overcompensates. And then we notice the same thing with the kids. She was honestly just an absolutely horrific mom, he says.
To the marriage believing like, okay, the best thing that I do in my whole day is, 5 o'clock, make sure the house is cleaned up for dad to come home and make sure my makeup is on and I'm wearing something nice. So it's all this focus on, here's what I bring to the marriage. I bring my body and I make sure the house is clean. So that it wasn't going to hold water for too long in our marriage. And that's why we started to have leaks.
All right. So how does Satan use all of these cases? The Daybells, Tim Ballard, Elizabeth Smart, Warren Jeffs, this Ruby Frank thing going on, and all the other things that come out of Utah and Idaho. It seems to be a lot of them come out of Utah and Idaho. But do not be fooled. These things happen everywhere. Now, what did Jeffrey Epstein, I'm jumping to something extreme here. What did Jeffrey Epstein use his island for? In 2020, Denise George, the USVI's then Attorney General, finally acknowledged what had been rumored for 2 decades, that Epstein's island was a nexus for his sex trafficking operation. What else did he use it for? For blackmail. In 2017, Epstein emailed Gates about the Russian bridge player Bill Gates. Bill Gates, yes, was blackmailed by Epstein, requesting that he pay back the meager tuition for her coding program. All right. That was kind of code for saying the sum was immaterial for the 2 men, and the tone of the message was that Epstein knew about the affair and could expose it. Well, here's my point. The wicked plots against the just. The wicked always plot against the just, and gnashing at them with their teeth. Satan is the saints' accuser. He has all the dirt on the Latter-day Saints. He knows what they do. And in these last days, he's upping his game. What if Satan told your church friends and the world what you've done? Or exploited who you are? Or took out the worst of everybody in your ward, in your hometown, or in Utah or whatever, in your hometown, let's say, for those outside of Utah, or in your area, and said, these are the Latter-day Saints. They picked out everybody that is committing adultery and maybe not living, staying on the covenant path, and said, this is what the Latter-day Saints are, and this is what they look like. Those little secrets you can try to keep hidden from everyone. And we have for a long time. People were before the internet and before all the different resources out there that showcase all these things. People were able to go to their bishop and stake present, take care of those things privately, because the atonement is for them. And the difference between those sinners and the sinners of the world is that they're trying and they're repenting. Some of them don't. But let's say we're taking the hypocrites and we're saying, this is what the Latter-day Saints are. Satan knows everything we do. Satan has a dirt file on Latter-day Saints, and he will not let us forget it. And he's going to use it, and he's using it now in the last days. So I'm saying that all of these cases, they are what they are. They're bad, but this is how Satan persecutes us and gets people to persecute us. Matthew chapter 5, verses 11 through 12. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and spout all kinds of evil against you and falsely accuse you. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. I don't think this is the King James Version. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you, they persecute you. So, by the way, I want to tell you guys, good morning. I'm happy to be here, and it's my birthday. That's right. It is my birthday. And a lot of times, I have all these projects, right? I have these projects, they're in video form. So a lot of times I will pick up where I left off. That's why you see me here 2 days ago. I filmed that first part. A lot of you will come to the channel and watch a video and comment, and that's great. Those of you who do not like that I am laughing with my brother or say that I've wasted a lot of time, I'm sorry. Occasionally I'm going to let my hair down. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're here just for my content and not for my personality, well, I'm sorry that there's going to be also people here that are here because they like who I am and they like my brother and they like the guests I have on and they just like what's going on now. And they like to laugh. So start laughing, mates and misses. The other thing is my website's almost up. You're going to be able to register. It's 99 cents a month. That's it. 0.99 cents a month. But it's formatted just like YouTube. It'll have video, comment section, a community tab. I'm going to have podcasting on there. So you'll be able to listen to audio. I'm going to be uploading my everything that you get in video form, you'll get in audio form. So if you're a podcaster and you just want to listen to it in podcast form, there will be eventually a newsletter, all kinds of stuff. So the 99 cents a month. So I appreciate you going to Rumble. The reason I'm getting you to go to Rumble and register there is because I was going to do Vimeo, but Vimeo censors. I researched it. Remember I said I was going to embed Vimeo videos? Yes. Well, Rumble videos will be there until I find out a better plan. And embedding your own videos takes up a lot of bandwidth, especially when you're on shared hosting, unless somebody wants to help me get my own hosted website out there. It's another $300, but I'm just saying, then I can host my own video. Like I am my own YouTube, right? And I don't have commercials or anything like that. But Rumble is fine. I'll have Rumble videos there. Did I say Venmo video? I keep saying that. Rumble videos, there's a place to comment and everything. So I'd rather but you still have to be registered for Rumble. So come register. Not yet. Don't come to the website yet. Still under construction. Probably by Monday or Tuesday, it'll be done. So you come there because that's what supports me and helps me with my things. And the 99 cents a month, that's it, will help with everything. My equipment. It just takes time away from my family. And this is what I do for a living. Like we all have things that we all want to come up. We all have goals. We all want to come up, right? And do things.
So to sum it all up, in conclusion, and I know that clip there was kind of funny, like where do I put the house cleaning? I didn't know where, so it happened to just fall into that place. But bottom line, I'm not swaying from the idea that this was abuse. It was absolutely abuse. My point is that why do they focus, right? It seems like a lot of the crimes that are being committed, the high profile stories that are being covered are coming out of Idaho and Utah. And they happen to be linked with Latter-day Saint language. People that's always being dropped, the Latter-day Saint thing. But like Andrea said, you don't go see something coming out of Boston where there's lots of Irish Catholics. They don't just keep talking about Catholicism. If the Boston Strangler, if he happened to be baptized in the Catholic Church, we don't hear about him being Catholic all the time. So you're seeing that, and yeah, could it just be coincidence? Sure, that it was just a good story because it had all the elements of a. When I say good story, I don't mean it was good that the crime was committed. I have to explain myself, and it's weird because people will not understand what I mean. But that had all the elements. Like here's this YouTuber, high profile thing.
could be coincidence that it was just happened to be a hot story. But to say that Satan's not behind it either that's ignorant. Anyway, so yes, it's abuse, but there's a lot of things coming out of Utah and Idaho.